are built with players like Chase Lane, and he does the work that we all need for A&M, gets open, runs the routes, does it all. So we'll talk a little bit about him, and also how the coaches poll and the AP poll said, you know what, guys? Welcome to the Top 5 Club. We welcome you in. And we start the Go Hour with my buddy Olin Buchanan, our Heisman Trophy voter, and, of course, every 8 o'clock hour with OB. OB, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Man, I'm feeling good today because we're at hump day. We're that much closer to game day. Man, I just the later I get in the week, the better I feel.
Tell me if this is a fair comment. The college football season really starts now. No disrespect to Kent State. Yes, it was a tight for a few minutes. But that felt like a preseason atmosphere game. The stadium didn't. The stadium felt great.
I know what you mean.
But the vibe around the game, now that you're going on the road against a former Big 12 team, that is a test. Shouldn't be a test with the final score, but a test of a matchup. Now I feel like, all right, and we're going on the road. It's college football. Let's go.
Yeah, well, I think anytime you're playing another Power 5 team, unless it's Kansas, you feel like it's a bigger, bigger stakes, whether they really are or not. But it has that feel. I know that Colorado's been up and down. It wasn't that long ago they had a 10-win season about 3 or 4 years ago, and last year they actually played pretty well in a condensed season. I think they were 4-2. So, they're a respectable program. They're not great, but they're a respectable program. But it's one of those things when you're playing another Power 5 team, like you said, on the road, you kind of feel like a team like Kent State that, that you're going to win no matter what the circumstances were. I don't think anybody ever, even when it was 13-10, 13-3, and they were driving, that anyone was, you're frustrated because it's not a blowout yet.
It's not the way you wanted it to go, but you didn't think like, all right, Kent State may beat us.
Yeah, right. But if you're not on your game and you have 5 turnovers, you're in danger of losing at Colorado.
If you have 5 turnovers, absolutely, yeah.
And giving up a lot of rushing yards and things like that. Now, if you're on your game, you're going to beat Colorado.
I think if you're on your game, you beat Colorado by more than the spread significantly, I believe.
I agree with that. So, it's what you always say. It's a cliche now. I used to tell my son this all the time. It's not who's the best team. It's who's the best team that day, right?
Right.
And A&M is the best team 364 days of the year against Colorado. But are they going to make it 365? See, that's the question. And so, yeah, I think if I was an LSU or UCLA fan, or a fan of any team that played another Power 5 game last week, then it felt like a bigger atmosphere. But last week it was just like, hey, we're happy that it's football.
Right.
It's been gone now. Last week was the salad.
And who really likes the salad when the steak's coming up next?
And I don't know if this is the steak, but maybe this is more of an appetizer that has some meat in it. The steak comes when
Alabama comes?
Well, I want to say when conference play starts.
Okay.
And then I don't know what you'd call it when. You'd have to ask Hunter Goodwin. He's the 7-course meal guy. I don't know what the next course is. I don't know what the Alabama game is, but
to me, Kent State felt like the dress rehearsal, and you're exactly right. Yes, college football's back. We're getting it. The stadiums are full. And again, this is from an A&M perspective. We didn't open up with a top 5 matchup, but now it's the next step and the next test for Texas A&M, and a game that I feel that as long as they take care of their business, it's not going to be close. We had a insider from the Ralphie Report on yesterday who made a comment that I rose my eyebrow a little bit, made me raise my eyebrows, to where he mentioned Texas's size and speed being on a different level when they played. And I'm like, buddy, you have no idea about size and speed coming your way. If Texas was big, and I know they're a big team, I get it, but there's a difference with SEC size and speed, and especially from what I saw from this team.
Well, Texas throttled them in the Alamo Bowl last year. And, again, I think if A&M just shows up and plays its game, they will too. That's not meant to be a disrespect for Colorado. It's just the way things are. A&M, that's why A&M's ranked 5th and Colorado's not ranked. But I think A&M, again, to your point, though, I think A&M will respond. I love the way for a team with all the new aspects, quarterback, offensive line, linebacker, that A&M has, the schedule's been perfect. You've got a team you're going to beat in the first game. Now you get a little bit more challenge in this game. And then your third game is going to be another game that you can work on whatever deficiencies that you have before you get into conference play with a couple of teams you could beat. I mean, I think you want that set up perfectly. But now you've got to go out and show Colorado, not only are we bigger than you, but we're better than you. And let's face it, big, fast guys usually beat little fast guys.
Sure. And that's the way it should be, especially when you're Texas A&M. So let me ask you this. If on Monday we come back and A&M wins by 24 points, 31 points, whatever the score may be, but again, they give up a lot of yards on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Now are we concerned? Because there's a level of concern, but also we justify it. Well, they had 6 defensive backs, and linebackers are getting adjusted, and Michael Clemens wasn't there, and McKinley Jackson wasn't there, and we find reasons to justify it in a way. Happens 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Is that now a concerning trend?
Yes, I think you have some red flags if it's 2 weeks in a row. That said, it depends on how many yards. You got to respect the other team and understand that Broussard, their running back out of Bishop Lynch High School up in Dallas, Broussard is he's good. I mean, he's a good running back. It's not like a stiff. I mean, he could play and start for a lot of programs in college football. So if he goes for 100, and I don't think he will, but if he does, especially if it's done on 25 carries or more, then you say, all right.
Right.
Sometimes good players, you got to understand that they're going to do some things too. But if he goes for 100 on 15 carries, or if he goes for 150, then you start saying, okay, this is 2 weeks in a row. What does they say? Twice is a trend or something that. Once can be a fluke. Twice is starting to be a trend. And then I think it is cause for concern. But I'm not going to borrow trouble. I'm going to wait and see what they do against this guy, because I do think that, again, Jimbo was talking Monday, and what was the phrase he used?
Stick your nose in the honey.
Sticking your nose in the honey. So there's a reason that the cliche is that you improve most of all from game 1 to game 2, because, again, we talked about it yesterday. You got a chance to put it on film and you say, see, this is what we're talking about. You've got to adjust. You got to play it different, play it within the scheme, the choreography of the defense, and then they get a chance to actually see it. So let's see how they adjust to what went wrong. Yes, but I know this. I'll be surprised if A&M doesn't dominate the line of scrimmage, especially with Clemens coming back.
Yeah, I mean, all the double teams that DeMarvin was seeing, I think, of course, that's still going to continue, but it's going to open up somebody that are on the line. All right, so we have this topic out there. I'll state it, and we'll flesh it out a little bit later. But what are your thoughts on A&M entering the top 5 in both polls? And obviously, we're all happy about it. I don't mean it in that sense, but I think we touched on it a little bit yesterday. Maybe surprised a little bit that there was some droppage as much as Clemson dropped. Oklahoma dropped considerably. A&M still behind them, but some areas where I thought we didn't know if A&M would get the respect that they deserve. So we'll talk about that throughout the show. But let's say hello around the room. We go to the fishbowl. Jamie and Richard are in the back. Hello, friends.
Good morning. How are you? I got Meredith up here too. And
hey,
Victoria in the back. So
hello.
Different crew today.
How was it to wake up super early?
Well, I guess sleep in yesterday, so
okay.
not bad. Give or take.
Hey, look at Richard with a little thumbs up. Love that kid.
Just a happy guy.
He's a happy
Just
guy.
always such a happy guy.
There for a while, I thought she said I got married.
Is
She
that-
said I got Meredith, and I thought, did she say she got married?
Absolutely
And
not. Come on, Olin.
I was thinking she and Zane have been spending a lot of time together, but I didn't think it was that serious.
No. Not that serious.
Dodgers fanboy. I couldn't read the type there. All right, let's go to the News and Social Center. Anna Rosa Peterson, good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here. This is really just the best time of the year as an Aggie, as a college football fan. I'm honestly just still reminiscing on the atmosphere at Kyle Field on Saturday with the red, white, and blue going on. It was really cool to be a student there, so I just wanted to talk about that. But yeah, I'm excited about our topic. What are your thoughts on A&M entering the top 5 in both polls? We want to hear your thoughts about that. I'm here to read your text messages and get all that fun stuff out there. So,
Hey, Anna
Have a good
Rosa,
day.
are you still celebrating that Nebraska win over Hofstra?
I don't want to talk about it.
But by the way, if you want to call the show, you can do that, and you can. And Anna will certainly read your text messages on the A&B text line. That number 979-693-1150. A&B, a College Station branch of Amarillo National Bank, Good Texas Banking. Check out their website at amb.com. You can also call the BCSI hotline. We've got that question out there. What are your thoughts on A&M entering the top 5 in both polls? And we want to discuss it just from the, I guess, a respect standpoint, what it means moving forward. If you take care of your business, even, and we'll talk about it here in a second, OB, but if things don't go great against Alabama, I think starting here, and if that's your only blip on the radar, I think it's a good sign.
Yeah, because things don't go great against Alabama for a lot of teams. But I do think that A&M is going to be judged nationally very harshly by how it goes against Alabama. So you've got to take care of everything every week until then. And because if A&M's 5-0 and was to have another outcome like a 52-24, whatever it was, against Alabama, and I know we're looking way ahead, the national narrative is
See,
A&M, they talk a lot and do nothing.
So how about this? Don't look like Miami, but I don't want a moral victory either. I don't want to lose 31-28. Go and beat that, you know what. Go ahead and get in there, beat them, move on, end that conversation.
That's right, but make sure you're 5-0 going into that game.
Yes. Don't drop one. Don't give up 300 yards rushing to Colorado. Don't lose to Arkansas. Yes, there's a lot of things to consider. All right, moving ahead here on the program, we're going to talk a little bit about defenses around the country and around college football as well, as Obi has a new column out there last night. We'll talk about that and more. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
This is The Zone. Aggieland's all sports station.
VeraBank is open and we are excited to serve you in College Station. Hi, this is Erica Archer, Treasury Management Officer at VeraBank, and I specialize in helping businesses run their day-to-day operations more efficiently, saving you valuable time. Our team's job is to make yours easier. So give us a call or come by and see us off of Highway 6. At VeraBank, you have a team of genuine bankers on your side, and you can bank on it.
Visit verabank.com today. That's VERA bank.com. VeraBank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
At Aggieland Roofing, we are proud to celebrate our freedom. We are proud to be Americans, and we are proud to fly the American flag. Howdy, I'm Roofer Girl with Aggieland Roofing. Flying the American flag is the American way of showing who we are at Aggieland Roofing. We honor all that have fought for our freedom. We pay homage to generations that fought in previous wars. We show support for those currently dedicating their lives to preserve the American way, and we remember those that didn't come home. At Aggieland Roofing, we show our respect to those that are responsible for our freedom by flying the American flag, not just on holidays, but every day. Not all of us are capable or willing to make that sacrifice, so we ensure that the ones that do know how much they are appreciated. Won't you join us? Look for the big 80-foot flags at the new location of Aggieland Roofing on Highway 6 North, just past OSR. Swing in and pick up your free American flag. Support our men and women in the military. And a salute to the lives lost and the lives changed forever from the acts of 9/11. May God bless America.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Lance Lester at the Lester Group, Zwerneman Flooring, and the Sleep Station. Here's a big gig 'em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on the Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
The best is yet to come in College Station.
Chase Lane is in for a touchdown! Yes!
Head coach Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies are ready to rise to the top of the SEC.
Touchdown Aggies to Anais Smith!
Join us Saturday. The Aggies visit the Colorado Buffaloes. Our coverage begins at 1:30 on your home for Aggies football, the Texas A&M Sports Network.
Listen to Aggie football on the Zone, online at radioaggieland.com, or tell your smart speaker, play Zone 1150.
It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. OB in the house. If you want to call the program, come on, we'll talk to you. We'll serenade you here on the phone lines. The number is 979-693-1150. That is the BCSI hotline, and you can text us as well, 979-693-1150, as we gear closer and closer to going to Colorado. Excited about that. For a moment, OB, humor me. Let's talk a little defense in college football, because we talked in the first segment about Colorado, their ability to run the ball. We saw what happened in the Kent State game. From a rushing perspective, allowing over 200 yards on the ground for whatever reason is too much. But if you look around college football, there are a lot of power teams that struggled. Notre Dame, supposed to have this salty defense every year, right? They give up 38 to Florida State. Now, Florida State may end up being a very good team, or maybe Notre Dame's just not as good as we thought. But FSU had 448 yards, okay? According to ESPN, that's the most they've given up in 2 years, except when playing Clemson. It's a lot of yards to give up on your opening game. Ohio State, okay? Pretty good Minnesota team. Yeah. But they give up 408 yards, 31 points. And offensively, if you look at the table of that game, they scored on huge plays and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So you would think that they would have won that game by 78 points or whatever. But
and Muhammad Ibrahim
left, right?
Got hurt.
Yep.
He's out for the year. And he was gashing.
He was destroying
Ohio State and then before he got hurt.
So another team with some defensive issues, Oklahoma. OKLAHOMA, all right? Big lead to Tulane. They couldn't stop them at all in the second half. Tulane outscored them 21-3 in the second half. So I guess what I'm saying is, outside of the Clemson-Georgia game, and of course Alabama pretty good defensively against the Eric King in Miami, there were some struggling defenses out there that, we live in this echo chamber of A&M, and when we see the negative stuff, well, it's easy to point at one thing when you won a national championship. But A&M may have given up some rushing yards, but overall, there's a lot of worse situations out there with top programs that you would expect better defenses from.
Yeah, I've always said, never overreact, good or bad, to the first week, and I think Billy explained it really well. You're talking about guys that haven't played, even if they're veterans, they haven't played football in 7 months, and then you always have new faces that are playing for the first time and getting settled in. And A&M, I wasn't surprised that Kent State put up a lot of yards. I just thought it'd be in the passing game.
Right.
And maybe A&M was overplaying that. I don't know. I know a lot of the yards that they gave up rushing were on quarterback scrambles, and 85 of the 200-something, so a third of them were in the fourth quarter when the game was over. So, but we expect A&M to be great in run defense. They have been for the last couple of seasons. And last year, there was, I think, second in the nation. So to see them give up that many rushing yards was somewhat disconcerting. And I think you got to expect him not be quite as good when Bobby Brown's not out there and his successor at that position was not out there and Buddy Johnson's not out there. Because if you expect the next guy to be just as good as Buddy Johnson, I say this all the time, then you're just dismissing what I thought was the greatness of Buddy Johnson.
Correct.
Anybody can do it. So there's got to be a certain amount of expectation that you're not going to be quite as good. I just think that it was alarming that Kent State, a team that you expect to go out and dominate, which, by the way, you did. You won by 31 points, and it could have been much worse if you just take care of your own business deep in their end of the field and take care of the ball, right? So, and it goes back to your original point in the last segment. What are you going to do this week? All the things that you saw last week, yeah, there's a lot of teams that gave up more yardage. But Notre Dame did it against a Power 5 team. Now, we've learned not to expect too much from Florida State.
Yep. Although they look pretty good.
Even though, hey, Ja'Shawn Corbin, we knew he was good. We saw him return a kickoff for a touchdown against Arkansas for the Aggies. He was the starter for the Aggies a couple of years ago. But we didn't see him run off an 89-yard touchdown run for the Aggies. So every team, I think, well, not every team, a lot of teams, like to your point, are going to have some, I don't want to say struggles, but some period of adjustment in the first game. And like I said, Billy said it. Guys haven't played in 7 months. Yeah. You have new faces that are finding the way. You don't expect them to be in mid-season form. That's why you have the phrase mid-season form.
And again, we weren't privy to the game plan, which might have been, all right, we'll give up the run to stop the pass. You know, not that they want to give up 38 yards on one run. And so I'm looking at these numbers. You're right about most of the yards coming from quarterback scrambling. Dustin Crum, 11. He didn't lead the team, but he had 11 attempts for 60 yards. He had that big 26-yard run. The guy ahead of him, Xavier Williams, 8 attempts for 73 yards. But really, I don't want to say pedestrian numbers if you take away his 38-yard run, because he had a 38-yard run up the middle that did not look good. But then you're looking at normal numbers. So a couple breakdown plays is where the bulk of those yards, and as you mentioned, in the fourth quarter, what was it, a third of the yards came in the fourth quarter? Yeah,
it was like 85 in the they had what, 228? So
you can kind of analyze and be like, all right, well, yeah, there's this play happened, and that's typically not going to happen. The quarterback did not pass on us. We expected that to be their strategy. A&M was able to stop the pass, and then you can see why they were able to run the ball so much. But it cannot be a trend. We can't see it in week 2, week 3, week 4 moving forward. Do I expect Colorado to put up some numbers rushing? Yes, but not at the same kind of volume and the same kind of success that we saw Kent State do it, again, on breakdown plays.
Well, I think you're going to know a little bit more what to expect from Colorado than I think Kent State threw you maybe threw you a curveball. But I will say this, the Colorado quarterback, I think his last name's Lewis, and he's from Texas, Melissa, Texas, wherever the heck that is. He's can
he run?
He can run.
Okay.
He can run. So, again, this will be a good test to see how they've adjusted, because they've got a heck of a running back, and I think they're more of a running team. But they've got a heck of a running back, and I don't know that they have the reputation of being a passing team like Kent State did. So maybe you can focus more on the run. Of course, that does open you up maybe to some vulnerability against the pass if this guy can show that, you know, he's an adept passer too. I know this. If I can put Colorado, if I can play sound run defense and I can put Colorado consistently in 3rd and 6 or longer, then I think I'm going to have a really good day.
Well, I'll say this, by the way. We've talked a lot about Clemens coming back, but Miles Jones in the back practicing this week, to me, hopefully that means he's going to play, to me is when you have senior leadership in the back really good players. They didn't really throw to Jalen's side at all. When you have your defensive backfield rounded out and an edge rusher, the defense is going to feel different regardless on Saturday.
Well, I think you pointed it out on Monday. They had, 3 of their projected starters out.
Mm-hmm.
And McKinley still isn't going to be playing, I don't think. So, but if you can get Clemens and Miles Jones, does not mean to be a rip on Brian George, but the fact is Miles Jones is your starter. He's the better player.
And it goes into depth. It goes into experience. There's a lot that goes into it, not just talent for talent. There's a lot of reasons why having certain players that are used to that position makes such a difference, rounding out the defense.
Yeah. As Billy pointed out, I heard him talking to you yesterday, and he says, Miles Jones was there at that game against UCLA. I mean, think about how much experience he has and how he's grown, not physically, even though at 6'4", he's obviously done a lot of that, but just how he's grown. And last year had what I thought was an all-conference caliber year. Now, that doesn't mean he was going to make all-conference. There was a lot of good cornerbacks, but that caliber. So if you get a guy that like that off the field, you're going to miss him. And I think they missed him last week.
I'm going to read this text message, 512 area code. Mike Elko ran a base 4-down, 2 linebacker set the entire game. He puts in caps. He showed them nothing. Saturday was about finding the run fits and misses. That's what they did, and so in the pressers. Yeah. So that's what they showed them. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break here. We need to speak with Shireen Williams here in a moment. We'll talk all things college football with her, and of course the NFL, pro football talk and whatnot. But right now, a moment for the Association of Former Students. Love those guys. You know that Porter and I have become close. Catherine's awesome. Randy and Lexi was in studio last week. It was great to see her. You know this, and I'll just remind you. The Association of Former Students is the oldest serving organization in A&M for support of that Aggie network. We're talking over 140 years, guys, and every dollar goes to a great cause. And I can list it over and over, but just know this. I missed out for a while back on the train, and it's real easy to forget, like, I'll renew tomorrow. And then tomorrow becomes a week, then it becomes a month, then you forget, and then you don't check your mail. I don't check my mail. My wife checks the mail, and then the bill comes in, whatever. So just do it. Just go to the website right now, aggienetwork.com/giving, and check them out, because for $100 a year, roughly $9 a month, you're going to get that decal, the plaque, the Texas Aggie magazine, plus you're continuing in the oldest, most inspiring tradition of Aggies helping other Aggies out there. To learn more about the impact of the association, get involved, make a gift, visit aggienetwork.com/giving.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The MSC Visual Arts Committee presents Revival, Visualizing Natural History Specimens in Art and Science, on display at the Reynolds Gallery through September 25th. Visit vac.tamu.edu for details. VCS Habitat for Humanity announces its Financial Literacy Workshop Series Thursday evenings this month. Find a schedule of topics and more information at habitatbcs.org. The 38th Annual National Night Out is Tuesday, October 5th. Neighbors are asked to turn on their front porch lights and spend the evening outside with neighbors and law enforcement. Contact your local police station to host a block party. For more information about becoming a master gardener, visit brazosmg.com. You can hear the Aggies beat the hell out of Colorado this Saturday, starting at 1:30, right here on Sports Radio 1150 and 93.7 FM. Online, you can hear the game at radioaggieland.com. And if you have a smart speaker, just say Play Zone 1150. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Brad Beard of Intercon.
When we started Intercon in early 1991, we were well aware that we would be competing with some companies that use unscrupulous techniques to make a quick sale, such as bait and switch, or 40% off if you commit today, or misleading, incomplete quotes. Intercon's practice is to be completely honest and encourage prospective customers to talk to our former customers. We've encouraged customers to get multiple quotes. We are confident and proud of our value proposition for windows, glass, and solar screens. We never want anyone to rush into a decision they will regret in the future. Just remember, warranties are only as good as the people who provide them and are servicing the area when situations arise. This is our home and only marketplace, and we will protect our home turf. You've probably heard the saying, the buck stopped here, and that is with me, Brad Beard, president and co-owner of Intercon LLC.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
Bryan Broadcasting is your home for high school football. Bryan High, A&M Consolidated, Rudder, and College Station High play on the Bryan Broadcasting family of stations. No matter where you are, hear every play, every game, all season long. Thanks to A&B, Blinn College, BCS Toyota, and Ed Phillips Plumbing. To find out when and where to hear your favorite team, go to brazosfootball.com.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fun Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country, and Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fun Center sells and service Polaris ATVs, Rangers, Blazers, Global Electric Cars, Brutus, and the Polaris Slingshot. Polaris Fun Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone.
TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, 911 University Drive, East in College Station. They've got it all over there. Shop online at davidgardnersjewelers.com. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. OB, David Nuño, the Go Hour. We continue it, and we go to the BCSI hotline. We're joined by Shireen Williams. Of course, we all know her, Hall of Fame voter, Texas A&M 2020, a distinguished alum. Good morning to you, Shireen.
Good morning. Always the highlight of my week to be on with you guys. Thanks for having me.
It is our highlight as well, Shireen. I just want to start off with A&M stuff, obviously. Your overall thoughts on what you saw on Saturday with the Aggies winning by 31, but some little critiques out there, of course.
Well, I'm excited by the second half and what I saw, and not so excited by what I saw in the first half. But you think about it, and you guys have probably pointed this out, but I listened to some of the post-game stuff, and nobody pointed out that A&M didn't punt at all. I mean, this is a team that probably should have had over 50 points, maybe 60 points, if not for their own undoing of, turnovers and some simple mistakes, drop passes, overthrown balls, things like that. This could have really been a than what it was. But, I think there were some encouraging things there, some things to build on, and they're going to have to be better this week. And I tell you what, if you're over 500 yards, you're probably not going to lose a ton of games. But if you're -3 in turnover ratio with 5 turnovers, you're probably not going to win many games. So they got to cut out the turnovers.
Your thoughts on Haynes King making his first start?
Well, it was a start, and he's got a lot of things to build on. And, I think just the turnovers just kind of, left it as a downer. I mean, he did some really good things, but the overthrow to Isaiah Spiller, I keep looking at that, and, Anaya Smith dropped the one ball that was perfectly thrown, but just the turnovers kill you. And I don't care how they happen. I don't care if it's a tip ball. I don't care how they happen. There's still turnovers. There's still interceptions. There's still plays you just can't make. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to win a lot of games when you do that. If you do that in the SEC, if you have 5 turnovers and -3, you're not going to win. I don't care if it's Ole Miss. I don't care if it's Mississippi State. I don't care if it's Auburn. You're not going to win many of those games. You just cannot turn the ball over. And for everything we gripe about with Kellen Mond, he didn't turn the ball over last year. And that was one big reason A&M only lost one game last season, is he really protected football. What do you have, 3 interceptions the entire year, right? And they had 4 in one game. So you've got to be better with the football. And if they're that careless with the football, there's going to be more than one loss this season. And I think we're all looking at, there's one team they're not going to be favored against, and you better win the rest of them. But if you turn the ball over, you're not going to do that. It's really as simple as that.
Shireen Williams on the BCSI hotline. Shireen, what about the running game that Kent State was able to do as it translates towards Colorado, a team that can run the ball very efficiently? They also put up a lot of yards last week.
Yeah, I'm also wondering just how much A&M showed in the first game against a team they thought they were going to beat pretty handily, and ended up did beat pretty handily and covered the spread thanks to the 2 missed field goals late. But, you know, I think they'll be better in this next game. I really do. And I go back to what I'm encouraged about is I was really down last year when we opened against Vanderbilt and we didn't play very well. And frankly, probably should have lost the game. It was not a good outing. And I said, this is not going to be a very good team. And they just got better and better and better and better and better the entire year. And we know it ended up being a really special year. So I'm encouraged that this was, to me, a better opening than last year against Vanderbilt. And I'm not sure Vanderbilt is a better team than what we saw Saturday. So this is a team I think you're going to see get better and better and better and better, especially as the quarterback gets more experience and those sorts of things. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not sure we've seen everything from them. So, I think we can stop the run. I think we can be really good on defense. I think we can get a lot of yards on offense. So I until I see it, I still have in my mind that they're going to be able to stop the run and be a really, really solid defense, one of the best defenses in the nation.
Yeah, I think so. Offensive line, any thought? You know, that's a big area of concern, and they didn't pick up the 3rd and 4th and 1 at one point.
Yeah,
but
right.
Anyway, your grade on that offensive line in the first game.
Well, and they might have picked up the 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 if Isaiah Spiller had been in the game. So, there is that. But, yeah, the offensive line, again, I just think it's something that's going to get better with the more experience they get. You had a freshman in there. You just got to get the reps. And these are the games you get the reps in. Hopefully they can beat Colorado handily and get those reps. And then you have New Mexico get those reps, and then you start your SEC schedule. So, you have some time here, I think, when they can gel and get better. And there's only so much you can do at practice, which we can start talking about the Cowboys. It's the same deal. There's only so much you can do at practice. It's when you face that other team in real live action and bullets are coming at you. That's when it's real, and that's when you have to step up and make plays. There's some good things I think they did, only a couple holding penalties. I know on the one drive, the Aggies actually were able to overcome it, I think, and they ended up scoring on that drive. So, all in all, I think it was a good start for them. There's things they could get better at, obviously. But, yeah, you look at those short yardage things. There was a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and 3rd and 1. They ended up picking up the 3rd one. But Isaiah Spiller wasn't in on any of those plays. And, I have to believe that if Isaiah Spiller was in there, they would have picked those up on the 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 that they didn't.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about LSU for a moment across the way. There's a lot of speculation on Twitter and whatnot that they're going to go after Lane Kiffin. They're going to go after Joe Brady. What do you think LSU is going to end up doing, or does Ed O save his job?
Yeah, I don't know that he can save his job now. They didn't look very good in that game. I think there'll be a lot of losses there for LSU. I'm not going to be surprised if they go get another coach, although, he just won a national championship a couple of years ago, and you say, well, Joe Burrow won that national championship, and I really wouldn't argue with that. But Joe Brady sitting out there, to me, just makes the most sense, and I tweeted that yesterday. I just think they would have to look that way with what he did with Joe Burrow, and depending on what happens this year with him in Carolina. A little luster came off of that last year. He wasn't able to really get the most out of Teddy Bridgewater last season, but I still think they love Joe Brady, and I still think he would be the choice if they decide to move on from Orgeron after this season.
Yeah, probably a lot of LSU fans over there in Orange. So, Shireen, I would like for you to tell me, should we kind of be hoping that LSU wins 9 games? Because maybe that's just enough to where you have to keep Edo?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I think that's probably accurate. I mean, I'm not a big Edo coach. There's a scout that's a good friend of mine, an NFL scout, and loves Orgeron and thinks he's a fantastic coach and all that. To me, I know he's won a national championship, so, it's hard to take away from what he's done. But to me, he's one of those guys who's better as a coordinator. I think he's a really good coordinator. I don't think he's so much a head coach. So, yeah, if I'm an A&M fan, and I am, I would love to see Orgeron stay there rather than them going and getting a Lane Kiffin or even Joe Brady. I think could be very good as a head coach. So yes, I would much prefer that Orgeron stays there.
Go Tigers.
Hey, Shireen, let's go around the NFL for a minute. Dan Moore, obviously impressing Mike Tomlin. I know you weren't surprised by it, but it's good to see Coach Tomlin kind of signaling that as well.
Yeah, for those who haven't seen, Tomlin said he thinks that Dan Moore has a higher ceiling than what they projected with him coming out of college. Well, any of us who saw him play, for every game that he played in his career, I think knows that he had a really high upside. And, I mean, we could have told the NFL scouts, and sometimes you wonder what they're watching. And I know they're watching different things than what we're watching, but he's a really solid player for A&M. And I just thought he was going to be a really solid player in the NFL, and he is. I think he's going to make some Pro Bowls. He might even make All-Pro, but he's going to be really, really good offensive lineman for the Steelers, and exactly what they needed as they rebuilt that offensive line. They weren't very good last year and moved on from some people and had Pouncey retire, and so he's going to be a key part of that rebuild of that Steelers offensive line. They picked a good one.
Shireen, tell me why I can turn on the TV tomorrow night and actually feel like my team has a chance.
Well, I'm going to put something on. I'm going to put something on Twitter on today or tomorrow. But here's the thing: if the Cowboys win this game, I don't think there's an overreaction you can have. I think you celebrate like it's 1995. This is a team that has a chance to win the Super Bowl. I mean, if they can not practice together for an entire training camp and not play in the preseason and come out against the Super Bowl champion, that, by the way, is the first Super Bowl returning all 22 starters for the first time since 1979, who played together the entire preseason. So if you could come out and beat them and beat the GOAT, then I think you have reason to celebrate. I think it's going to be a great year. I think, we can write you down as a contender to win the Super Bowl. You're that good at this point. You can see where I'm going with this.
So what you're telling me is,
I don't believe the Cowboys are going to win, and I don't believe it's going to be close. So here's the thing. If they lose big, and I think it's going to be 31-10, 31-14, maybe 31-17, I definitely think Tampa's going to cover the 8-point spread. If they do, Cowboys fans cannot panic. You cannot panic. It's one game out of 17 games. This isn't college football. It's one game out of 17 games. To me, the key game is week 2. Regardless of whether you win or lose, the key game still is week 2. You got to go back on the road to face the Chargers next week. You have to win that game. So if you beat the Bucs, then you have to beat the Chargers because you beat the Bucs, right? You're one of the best teams in the NFL, so you have to beat the Chargers. If you lose to the Bucs, you can't start 0-2. If you start 0-2, then maybe the panic does start to set in. They have a hard start here, but to me, still, the key game is week 2. But I am very interested to see this team, to see how they play, having not practiced that much together in the preseason, in training camp, and not play it all together in the preseason. I just don't know that you can do that against a team that has practiced together the entire offseason, the entire preseason, training camp, played in the games, done all of that. I just don't think it's going to be the same team out there, the Cowboys, as the Buccaneers. I just think we're going to see a difference, and a big difference.
Hey, Shireen, last one for you. Tyrod Taylor named the starter, kind of expected. Just the dysfunction that is the Texans continues. The whole Deshaun thing is still out there. He's on the roster. He's the third quarterback. He's probably never going to play. Just how do you see? I think you were a little higher on the Texans than most, but that doesn't mean you were high on them.
No, I think they're going to be better than what people think they are. And I might have put the over under on their win total a little bit high. I said 5, but I don't think this is a team that's going to only win 1 or 2 games. I think this is a team that's going to be more in the kind of like they were last year. We have extra games, so 4 or 5 wins. I think that's where they are. And, I mean, they start out with the Jaguars. I think they're better than the Jaguars, so that's 2 wins right there. If they beat Jacksonville both times, that's 2 wins. And that's kind of what I had in my mind. Playing a very good division with Jacksonville in there. I don't know how good the Colts are going to be with all their dysfunction that they have going on. And Carson Wentz in and out of the lineup with foot injury and COVID protocols and everything else he has going on. But, yeah, they have a lot of play. They have over 30 players who have 5 years of experience or more. A lot of those are on 1-year contracts, so they have a lot to prove. They're playing for contracts. Malik Collins is one. There's a ton of them who are playing for contracts. So when you have guys in contract years, you just have them step up maybe a little bit more than they normally would. It's the NFL. They're paid. It's a game to them, yes, but it's a business. And so I just think you're going to see a little more out of those guys on those 1-year contracts, those veteran guys, than you might otherwise. But, yeah, Deshaun Watson is what we're all going to be watching for this entire year. We know they're going to draft a quarterback next year. That'll be their guy. So they're watching some of these college quarterbacks. They have to be disappointed. Some of the things they've seen so far out of some of these highly ranked guys who were supposed to be all that, with the number 1 overall pick, the Sam Howells and those guys, they didn't show up in the first week. So they're going to be watching that intently, I know, with their scouts, because they will be drafting a quarterback to be their quarterback of the future.
Shireen, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
See you now. Shireen Williams on the BCSI hotline. All right, we got to hit a break. We'll come back and close out the Go Hour here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
This is Aggieland's home for sports. The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Howdy, y'all. This is Cullen Gillespie, former 12th man. I've always tried to help my team on and off the field. And now I'd like to help Texas A&M fans like you cut their electricity bills in half. Yep, in half. It takes less than 5 minutes and you'll save hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars every year. 90% of Texans overpay for electricity, so don't be one of them. Sign up today at EnergyOgre.com and use code GILLY, G-I-L-L-Y, for a free month of service.
Since 1957, Slovačić Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovačić is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovačić. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovačić Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Hello, St. Joseph Eagles fans. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football throughout the season on KEDC 88.5 FM. St. Joseph Eagles football is brought to you this season by these local businesses: Fast Signs, Strata Auto Repair, Kelly Burt Dozer, Reedfield Meats and Deli, Burnside Services Inc., and Prosperity Bank. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football on KEDC 88.5 FM. Special thanks to all of our St. Joseph Eagles sponsors.
My name is Bobby. I'm a veteran and lost my leg to a roadside bomb. My victory was going from a wheelchair to becoming a weightlifting champion.
I'm Sam. I'm a veteran. My victory was finding a career I can be proud of and supporting my family.
America's veterans are on their most important tour, the tour of their lives.
I'm a veteran. My victory was going from homeless to home.
At DAV, we're on a mission to help veterans get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran, and my victory was finishing my education.
DAV offers veterans of all generations a lifetime of support for victories great and small.
My victory was proving that disability is not a limitation.
My victory was getting my service dog a new best friend.
We help more than 1 million veterans every year as they face and conquer their challenges.
My victory is being able to be there for my family.
When America's veterans win, we all win. Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
30 minutes after each and every Aggie football home game goes final, join me, hi, I'm Louis Bellina, and Dusty for the Twin Peaks Call-In Show, powered by TexAgs.com. It's 2 hours of your phone calls after every A&M home game. Twin Peaks, they've got eats, they've got drinks, they've got scenic views. Join Dusty and I after every A&M home football game, 30 minutes after every game, for the Twin Peaks Call-In Show, powered by TexAgs.com.
Closing out the Go Hour, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Got some text messages to get into from on the AMB text line. We'll do that. Our thanks to Shireen Williams joining us on the BCSI hotline. OB, I guess I got to say this quickly. I'm going to be playing soccer with some A&M SIDs starting Sunday night. So I'm looking forward to, even though we're in an over 40 league, apparently we're not good. We haven't won a lot of games. But we have a great keeper. You might know him, Mr. Marquardt.
Marquardt's the goalkeeper, huh?
Yeah, he can bring it. Callaway's going to be out there. It'll be fun.
I heard he had good hands. I want to see Callaway jump up and head the ball into the net.
Apparently that has been done before.
Maybe a scissor kick.
So I can't score, but I can play some defense.
Well, what do you mean you can't score?
Oh, well, I'm not a soccer player. I'm a defender, but I don't have any dribbles. I'm assuming I'm faster than some of the old guys in our over 40 league, but not all of them.
I have to believe that if I was coaching that team that has Callaway and Marquardt on there, I'm looking at you as my striker.
There's no striking. Apparently they got a pretty good striker already. Let's go to Anna Peterson there at the Anna Rosa Peterson in the News and Social Center.
All right, and a reminder of our topic, what are your thoughts on A&M entering the top 5 in both polls? Will in Rosenberg says, while it is great to be in the top 5, this ranking doesn't matter. The players and coaches have greater aspirations than being number 5 after week 1. None of us were satisfied with being number 5 at the end of the regular season last year and just missing out on the playoffs. The Jimbo standard has been adopted and implemented by the players and is now the program standard. I'm confident in the program as a whole moving forward. I guess Jimbo said it best after the Orange Bowl, we ain't done yet.
We ain't done yet, but we're done with this hour. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Thank you so much, OB. Thank you, Anna Rosa. We'll see you guys here with Chris Landry to start off the 9 o'clock hour.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
The hard determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education.
And to finish, I started to get my diploma.
Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Like us on Facebook at Zone 1150. Follow us on Twitter at Zone 1150. Get connected now. With Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. This is KZNE College Station, Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. The Brazos County Health District reports 4 more coronavirus deaths, bringing the total to 293. The recent deaths were a man and a woman in their 40s, a man in his 50s, and a woman in her 70s. Read more from the Health District at brazoshealth.org. The Bryan City Council received no public comments before taking final action to approve the fiscal year 2022 budget and first round approval of setting next year's property tax rate. Final action on holding the tax rate the same is scheduled next Tuesday. Mayor Andrew Nelson said he's not against investigating lowering the rate next year.
Next year, when there's a little bit less uncertainty, even with the hundreds of millions of dollars on our CIP that we have not addressed and the time to do it, I think we should leave no stone unturned next year to try to lower the tax rate a little bit.
The council's open meeting lasted 10 minutes. That's after spending 40 minutes behind closed doors discussing the status of the city's Building and Standards Commission. More stop signs and yield signs were approved at the last College Station City Council meeting. Traffic engineer Troy Rother explained how the city considers a neighborhood's request.
Went out and inspected it, saw the children crossing, and responded with there are warrants which the federal government has established for putting out these signs. And so we'll collect the data and evaluate the warrants based on the information we see in the field.
Some of the signage was added in the Southside neighborhood following street and sidewalk improvements around Oakwood Intermediate and Consolidated Middle Schools. Texas A&M has their second interim provost. The A&M system has announced hiring Mark Weichold as Associate Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. Dr. Weichold was interim provost since January following the departure of Carol Fierke. Taking over as interim provost, which is A&M's chief academic officer, is Associate Vice Provost Tim Scott. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
If you own construction equipment and need custom hydraulic hoses, get 10% off at WPI. WPI also has the best price in town for DEF at $8.50 for 2.5 gallons. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From O-rings and teeth, buckets and blades, any part for every brand of equipment is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan, Highway 21 East at Marino Road, or click WPI.com.
First Financial is proud to be the title sponsor for the 2021 Chamber of Commerce Lobster Fest and Golf Classic, the Chamber's largest and most popular fundraiser of the year. Howdy, I'm Cal McNeil with First Financial, and come be a part of the two-day fundraising event. Enjoy lobster and steak dinner September 19th at the Bresna Center, and then tee off Monday, September 20th at Pebble Creek Country Club. Support your Chamber of Commerce and reserve a table, register a golf team, or become a sponsor. Call 260-5200 or log on to bcschamber.org for more information.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Texas A&M football's jumped up one spot to number 5 in this week's AP poll. Alabama remains number 1, followed by Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and the Aggies. Clemson, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Iowa State, and Iowa round out the top 10. Now, the A&M defense was tested in this year's season opener, surrendering 226 rushing yards to Kent State. Coach Jimbo Fisher says some of that is a result of being too eager.
You think on defense, I want to make a tackle. Well, you think that's what but that's not always true. I got to do my job. Then if the tackle comes my way, then I chase the football.
And the Aggie defense gave up an average of 92 yards per game on the ground last year. Now, to hear more from Coach, tune into the Jimbo Fisher Coaches Show tonight from 8 to 9 on 1620 94.5 WTAW. 16th ranked Aggie men's golf opened up the fall slate with a bang yesterday, sweeping the team and individual titles at the Marquette Intercollegiate. The Maroon and White finished 4 strokes ahead of second place South Florida, while Walker Lee nabbed his 4th career victory at 14 under. And number 18, Aggie Soccer welcomes Southern to town tonight. Things get underway at 7 o'clock with coverage on Gospel 97.3 FM. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family. Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
The YouTube Jams, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Rolling into the 9 o'clock hour, starting it off with our Texas A&M scouting report with our good buddy Chris Landry on the BCSI hotline. Do we have Chris? I guess we don't have Chris. We'll get to Chris here. There you are.
I am here. I was just waiting. I didn't know when to jump in. Good to be with you, David. I don't know. I'm now that things have settled down and I got communication, I should be jumping in there, but good to be with you, my friend. How are you? Thanks for you and everybody's all the patience last week as we were getting through the storm, and I didn't know how we were going to be able to communicate, but we're able to get it done, and we're back to some sense of normalcy. So appreciate everything.
Well, thank you, Chris. We love your analysis and your breakdowns of games, and I'm sure somehow even with the with electricity out, you still were able to consume all the games out there. So I guess first off, let's talk about A&M. And by the way, let me give you your credentials out there. Longtime NFL coach, scout, college, you name it, he does it. LandryFootball.com is the website. Chris really knows the game, and obviously he has ties to the Oilers from back in the day, everybody. Chris, let's talk things about Haynes King starting out there. I was really impressed, not with the turnovers, but overall his poise, the way he came out there and was slinging it. What did you see from Haynes King this past weekend?
Well, I thought, first of all, that the plan was to go out and let him be aggressive. We kind of touched a little bit last week that Kent State's defense is not very good. Their offense can score points and will in the MAC, but that there were opportunities to kind of let him go and play. And look, I think there are certain progressions of a quarterback. You've got to take it from the classroom setting to the practice field, and then practice field to the game field. But, I think letting him loose a little bit in a game like this is something that they want to do, and to give him some opportunities, give him some confidence. But also, I think there's some teachable moments. I'm not saying they went out there and said, go and make turnovers. You don't want that. And you can't have that in SEC play. But I think there are teachable moments in there. I think that there's some things that he's got to get a little bit better with. And one of the things is, being able to, look off receivers is, those are things he's going to need work. Now, part of that, while he's learning that, you're going to want to give him a little bit more half-field reads where it's a little bit simpler, where he doesn't have to go through progressions as readily, throwing the ball across the body, back of the back foot. Those are things that can cause the ball to go inaccurately where you want it to go. So a couple of tip balls, there are things you can work on, but you see the mobility. At least I can see what their plan is with them, and it's what I thought it would be. And I'm curious to see the progression. Long way to go, but the track record's there. I have a lot of confidence in Jimbo, and I don't know how good the young man will be through the course of the year. There'll be growing pains, but I think he'll do fine overall.
Chris, I got to ask you this because a lot was made about that game being closer than it should have been at the half, and the way last year went against Vanderbilt. In your estimation, who would win if Kent State took on Vandy?
Well, last year's team would have beaten this Kent State team. This Kent State team is the Vandy teams right now is a mess. So that's a little bit of a, if it's last year Vandy, if it's this year's teams, Kent might be a little bit better than this year's Vandy team. Last year's Vandy's team was a little bit better than this year's Vandy team. Well, quite a bit better actually.
Yeah,
it's not saying much.
Chris Landry with us on the BCSI hotline. Let's talk a little bit about the ability to throw downfield. Caleb Chapman was back for A&M. That's one of the things that people were worried about with their ability to go downfield. Did you like what you saw when they went aerial?
Yeah, no, certainly he can. He's very effective off the line of scrimmage. I think they'll be able to work him vertically. Again, one of the things that I think people will need to understand as we go forward with, his ability to go deep is fine. Now, how they work, Haynes. So when you're running and you're working out of a 3, 5, 7, 9 step drop, the depth of the routes coincide with the depth of the drops. So it's more timing based. When you start to move the pocket or when you have play extensions, the real key for receivers, not just how they get deep, but how they work back to the quarterback, how they continue to work to get open and finish their routes, because that's where the improvisational part of it comes in, which is going to be more of what you're going to see than as opposed to last year. So, but Caleb certainly has the ability on the outside to beat, tight coverage. I thought he did a good job of, spotting up, and I think he's got good ball tracking skills. And I think we saw a little bit of that, before, but I think you see that ability. I'm more impressed with like what they were able to do, for example, against Florida than what they're able to do against this defense. But yeah, I think he's got the ability. And listen, I'm curious to see what Chase Lane grows, his development. And Smith is certainly a guy that can work the middle of the field and be great run after catch. He's gonna, I think, have a really good year because I think he's going to be in some of their high-low sets. some of the reach. He's going to be the guy that's going to be low, and that's going to do two things: give a run after catch, explosive playmaking ability. B, as people are going to have to come and defend that, it's going to create more spacing and coverage deep. So I think and you always go, deep to short in terms of your read. So I think it's going to open up things on the back end. As these young guys start to develop even further.
Chris, Colorado can run the ball. We know that. We saw that last week. We saw it last year, and Kent State was able to put up 226 yards of rushing against the A&M defense. Are you concerned by that, or is it just more, what we feel, just the kind of they weren't showing anything defensively?
Well, I think Colorado is a tough team. I thought Carl did a great job last year over there, considering how late he got there. I mean, we're talking late. I mean, Mel Tucker left really late for Michigan State. So you go in really late and you throw the COVID stuff that everybody had to deal with it. This was like an impossible job. I was very impressed with the job that he did. I think they are tough. I think that's part of some of the DNA that Mel left there. They will run. They'll stay focused to the run as long as they're able to and stay in the game. And it's going to be a step up in terms of who they have to block, who they have to beat blocks from. So I think it's going to be a good step for A&M to kind of see where they are. I think we're going to see the offensive line get a little bit more of a challenge, but I thought they sustained pretty well in the run game. But I think they'll get a little bit more challenges. I think you'll see some second level pressures from Colorado, and so that'll test a little bit of the protections and how the quarterback handles it, how the backs handle it, and you work out of the back. I think it's going to be fun to watch from a developmental standpoint to see how they handle it, because it's going to be a better opponent than last week. But, I fully suspect that the talent level and the preparation level, I think they'll be fine. And you just mentioned kind of the Vanderbilt game, or that's a perfect example of, I don't know. I wasn't here at the time, but I would imagine there was probably everything close to a meltdown in Aggie land after that Vanderbilt game last year. And I remember doing a show with the partner. Oh, and they're overrated, and Jimbo this, that. And I just said, don't overreact, good or bad, to first week games. See how things develop. And you saw how much better A&M got as the year went along. I think that well-coached teams get better progressively. And so I think we'll see, improvements in some areas, and I think we'll see more. I actually thought the defense did a pretty good job in the game in terms of leveraging. This is not a bad offense, believe it or not, that they played, and it's going to be a different look and a different challenge. But, I think this defense is going to be, it has a chance to be, it's good. It has a chance to be really good. And they're going to need that, because I think they're going to have to focus a lot on their defense, getting stops, creating some field position, because I think they may have to, if not lead this team all year long, but certainly in the first half of the year. And we'll see how well that offense kind of grows and develops, particularly in the passing game.
Chris, Leon O'Neal had the pick six, had the interception right before the half. Do you see him as a guy that's going to be playing on Sundays?
I think he's got a chance. I do. I think he's a talented guy. I think he does a really good job of flipping his hips, and I think he tracks the ball very well. I think he's got a chance. We'll see. Leon's, he's a high energy guy, and I think he's in coverage. He's got that mentality of wanting to challenge a guy. You got to do that. I thought he did a really good job, of pattern matching, staying on top of routes. Very, very talented young man. So I think his best football's in front of him, and he was certainly one of the guys in the film grade when I looked at that's really impressive, and I think he'll do a good job. The ability to be able to come out of his pedal and break is probably what stands out for me in my evaluation of him.
Let me give you another guy that I think is a pro prospect, Michael Clemens. We didn't see him play last week, but he's huge, obviously just a veteran specimen out there. What does he do for a guy like DeMarvin Leal by adding another edge rusher, a guy who can dominate there on the edge? What does it do for the others on the line?
Oh, I mean, the basic concept of defense, and there are a million ways to do it. but you've got 7 gaps you got to control. And defense is about gap control, assignment football. And when you have impact players, you got an impact player on the defensive line, it positively affects everyone else. You have 2, you really become problems. You start to have multiple guys beyond that and depth behind them, then you can't slide your protection. It's kind of like on the offensive side, you have one great receiver, you really don't have a whole lot because people can roll the coverage away and you can take one out. On the defensive front, when you have multiple guys that can impact you, where are you going to slide your protection? Well, you can't. And so now you take away what you can do vertically, offensively going up against them. You have to max protect a whole bunch, and it puts a whole lot of pressure. You've got to work the short passing game. So now all of a sudden the coverage has a much easier game to defend. They can compress their coverages. I think that is the whole key, and that's where Georgia is defensively. It's where Alabama is defensively, for example, in the league, and this is where they're trying to get. I think, Michael coming back is going to be a part of it, and obviously, getting a couple of those guys that we're missing back in the fold is only going to make this defense become more formidable to block, and that's going to be a big, important part of their development this year because I do think they can run. I think they can make plays in pursuit, but play up front is the play up front affects the back more than the back affects the front, and they both affect one another. But I think he's going to be a huge factor, and I think he's going to really help.
Chris Landry with us here, Landry Football. Also, it's the Texas A&M Scouting Report here on TexAgs Radio. So let's go around the SEC for a moment. Do we underestimate UCLA, or is LSU just got a lot more problems and the same problems that we saw last year?
Yeah, well, both. I mean, first of all, I've known Chip for a while. Pardon me. Chip, people didn't understand when he basically had the Florida job. If you want, he doesn't like that type of job. He likes to go where he can be anonymous, which you can in LA, and take a bulldozer and build it from scratch in his own image. He has his own eclectic views on how to build it. And he's been building towards this. And I know it hasn't shown any dividends to this point. He's got a type of team that's really good, and they're going to be a factor in the Pac-12. I don't know if they'll win it. Depth and injuries are going to determine that, but they're going to be in the mix. But so that part's true. The reason why it was such a embarrassing performance for LSU was because they're really good. And, if you put the same LSU team on the field against maybe Chip's team 2 years ago, the result's not the same. So you got it. It's usually both, right? And so UCLA's good. LSU's a mess, and it's been a mess. I've said for some time, I've known Ed for 35 years. Like him, he's a recruiter. He's a guy that he's so dependent upon his assistants. Good assistants are important, but there's a difference when you are a X's and O head coach. You can go help and fix it. I don't care if you're an offensive guy like Jimbo or a defensive guy like Saban. The best understanding of how to attack defenses is from an offensive guy. And the best way to know how you want to run offenses and what cause problems is a defensive guy. X's and O guys are X's and O guys. They understand the other side of the ball as good as they do teaching their side of the ball. When you don't have an X's and O guy, there's no continuity because you bring in people. Now, Dabo Swinney has had success because he's not had a lot of turnover, but offensively, Jeff Scott, who's struggling at USF, they're not quite the same offensively. Their protections are not as good without Jeff there. You with Ed, certainly struck it with Joe Burrow, Joe Brady, Dave Aranda was somebody inherited. That team could lead and coach itself, and Ed just does what he does and motivate and all that kind of stuff. But when you have to make changes, which you inevitably do, and you don't make the right hires, it's a disaster. And here's the thing. You go out and you hire a Bo Pelini. You go hire a guy that's a completely different scheme and style. Everybody in your building is having to adjust to everything different. Well, you go to a place like Alabama, you're a Bill O'Brien and you're a former head coach. You're adjusting to what they do and how they call it in Alabama. So it's the complete opposite under at Orgeron and at LSU. It's a complete mess of trying to adjust. Now, they've got a couple of young coordinators that I think have a chance to be good coaches in time. This is not a good, learn on the job type, situation at a big time SEC football. So it's a poorly coached team. I think they'll get better, but I don't know that it's going to be a whole lot better. I saw a lot of guys kind of turn it down a little bit. I think their legs were dead. I just think there's a lot of chaos, and against a very good schedule, it's going to be interesting to see how they play it out. I've said it before. If you're looking at overall talent in the SEC, number 1 is Alabama, number 2 is Georgia, and number 3 is LSU. But the team is not nearly as good in terms of how they put it together, how they develop, how they adjust. They are really late on identifying things and how to adjust, how to communicate it. And people say, well, go fix it. Well, you can't go fix it if you don't know how. If my car's not working, I can go to the mechanic and say, fix it. I don't know. I open up the hood and I say, good Lord, I have no clue. It doesn't start. Please fix it. That's it. Ed, that's not his strength. And it's not a criticism. That's just what he is. I just think as a head coach, he's got limitations. And if everything is stable and everything is fine, he can get away with it. Other than that, it's a mess. And right now it's a mess.
Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. Chris, we appreciate it, my friend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take care. All right. Chris Landry on the BCSI hotline right now. And I'll remind you to text radio to 900-900 for your chance to win the Big Friday giveaway, courtesy of our friends at Aggieland Outfitters. And I love this hat, guys. Take a look. There it is, horns down. That's how they roll. Brand new Aggieland Outfitters exclusive. This cap is maroon in the front and white in the back with the white saw-off image stitched on the maroon background to show your disdain for the school there in Austin. Look at it. It's nice, man, right? Like, with all this SEC stuff happening, you got to get yourself this hat there from Richardson, original 112 trucker hat. That's what's up. Very breathable cap, mesh back with a plastic strap so it can be adjusted for almost any size. You can get it there at Aggieland Outfitters. Exclusive to them, $24.99. And how about Quattro Ranch, the honey pot, tasty, tasty little snack out there. It'll crunch and melt in your mouth, the perfect healthy snack for any Aggie out there. All those you can get at Aggieland Outfitters. Go check them out.
This is the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
Replacement windows, like other major purchase items, will at some time in the future need service, whether warranty or not. If you purchase your replacement windows from Intercon, you'll just phone our local number and we'll take care of your issue in a prompt and professional way. Every one of Intercon's personnel who answer the phone will know how to involve the right people to find a solution. With Intercon, you won't spend hours manipulating through an automated phone tree. If you consider purchasing your replacement windows from another window source, a good exercise would be to call the service department of the other company. You might come away thinking it'd be better to put your trust in a local company with a solid and well-established reputation. Ask your friends and colleagues about the customer experience they had with Intercon. We are proud of our track record and our commitment to long-term customer service. Trust Intercon, a family-owned local business, with all of your window needs.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
If you're worried about your borderline blood pressure, hear how others are taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
Garlic works safely and naturally to support my blood pressure.
Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula has a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals, so you know it works.
No garlic taste, no garlic breath.
Take charge of your blood pressure with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
AggielandBigDeals.com. Shop local, buy local, save big. I'm struggling, can't pay full price. How about Aggieland Big Deals? Yeah, that's right. I'll be shopping local and saving big with discounts up to 30% on food, clothes, and car repair, or even entertainment and personal care. Is it really gonna be convenient though? Just download the app right on your phone. Oh man, that's slick. Now I'm all in. Those digital certificates are fun to spend. Plus I can print and send gifts along at AggielandBigDeals.com.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division.
and school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in Texas.
This message presented by the Texas University Interscholastic League and the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association.
The Bellucci Hour is back. It is back at the tap every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Join Billy Liucci of TexAgs, TexAgs.com, TexAgs Radio, and the Liucci Cast, along with Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, and Sports Director of Bryan Broadcasting. Monday, Thursday, 6 p.m. It's the Bellucci Hour, happy hour, and it's all thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Let the Bellucci Hour get you ready for Aggie football 2021.
TexAgs Radio. Welcome back to the program. You're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. If you want to text the show, you can do that at 979-693-1150. That is the A&B text line. And as a reminder, all guests and callers join us on the BCSI Associates hotline. You no longer have to drive to Houston or Dallas or Austin for major eye surgery such as glaucoma or cataract issues. Let Dr. K take care of you right here in the BCS, located on the top level of the Physician Center. Call 979-701-2020. And check out the website, mybcsi.com. And with that, we go to my buddy Art Garcia on the BCSI hotline, Sports Illustrated Fan Nation, all Aggies joining the program. What's going on, Artie?
Good morning, David. I like the T-shirt. My Aggie daughter would wear that around campus if she could.
It's one of my favorite shirts, right behind my Batman shirt. Art, I know you're a proud Aggie man, so as you're watching this game on Saturday, I saw your post-game report. You said so much for style points. They were able to win by 31, but for a little bit, it was ugly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the takeaways from that game, 5 turnovers, just unacceptable. If A&M wants to do anything this year on the national stage, and we all expect them to be there, you can't turn the ball over 5 times. 4 interceptions, that muff punt at the end of the game was just inexcusable. Defensively, I thought they looked great. A little bend, but no break, but 10 points to a team that averaged 40-some plus last year, I think is a reason to grow. But 10 points in the first half offensively, I just think that's not what Jimbo wanted to see in the opener. So, now on to week 2.
They say don't make too much of one game, especially the first game of the season, growing pains, adjustments, new freshmen out there. You saw it all around college football. So would you say you're concerned or just something you're keeping an eye on?
I think you're just keeping an eye on it. You see a game like Alabama who's breaking in a lot of new players, and they scored 40. They win by 31 as well, but they did it against a team that was ranked, in the top 20. They came out fast. I think they had 27 or so at halftime. They probably could have scored 50 or 60 in that game. A&M just didn't look as sharp in the first game, and I expected a little bit more out of them. But again, it's not a reason to be concerned going forward. You just want to see some of those errors cleaned up in week 2. And Colorado's a program that, they're picked in the bottom half of the Pac-12, but it's still a legitimate Division I program from a power conference. So I'd like to see the Aggies maybe, pull away in this game and establish themselves early and take that lead and show Colorado who's the better team on Saturday.
Art Garcia on the BCSI hotline. Art, so back to the style points for a moment. How important is it for the Aggies to pummel teams, knowing that they are in the top 5? They're in both the AP and coaches polls, but last year it did bite them in the backside.
No, I think you make a great point, but you're in the top 5 right off the bat. So I think you're going to get some leeway going forward. Obviously, A&M has a big game here soon. Well, they have the Arkansas game, which I think is going to be a barometer, and then obviously Alabama. I don't think style points are as important because they started the season so high. I just think from a fan standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, from a player standpoint, you just want to see them playing a little bit better. Yes, it's the first game, a lot of mistakes, freshman quarterback. You still win by 31. That's a game even 2 years ago I don't think we would have expected to see. We all remember Jimbo's first game, the Vanderbilt game. very, very ugly game. If you go from that to now, I think they've made a significant leap in expectations and execution. But style points, I just don't think are as important. You still want to win games big and easily, and I think that starts Saturday.
Art, let's talk a little bit about your follow-up column, which was making life easier on Haynes King. What are some areas that they can do beyond the drop balls and the routes? What are ways that the Aggies can make life easier on their quarterback?
I think they're still a work in progress when it comes to the offensive line, but we saw some good things in that game. The Aggies rolled up almost 600 yards of total offense, so it wasn't as if they weren't moving the ball. But when you have maybe the best backfield in the country, you rely on those guys, giving the ball to Spiller, giving the ball to A-Chain, I think makes the job easier. I don't think the Aggies utilized Watermeyer enough, the tight end position in that first game. And I think that's always a crutch for a quarterback is those short, easy throws when you have such a big athletic target with great hands. I think that will loosen up the defense a little bit. And then maybe take a couple shots downfield. I think that'll be key. But, yeah, running the ball, establishing, your identity that way. We saw it in the Florida game last year. I thought that was the key to that game, running the football and establishing that pound them mentality. And for Haynes King going forward, if you could run the ball 200, 250, 300 yards a game, I just think that opens up a lot for him in the passing game.
What a luxury, though, right? So you got, Clemson and Georgia having a big matchup to start off the year. Alabama starts off against Miami. They look like a well-oiled machine. But for Haynes to go up against a Kent State, a Colorado, a New Mexico, to really get the season going, for him to get acclimated to this level of college football.
No, I think that's great. 10 years ago when Johnny broke into the SEC, he started with Florida right off the bat. And I think that was a huge – he played well. I mean, he was a little sporadic in that game, but we saw glimpses. If he had started off with a Kent State, a New Mexico, that kind of team, I think we might have seen a different season that year from the Aggies. I think they might have contended for the SEC title. They go on to beat Alabama later that year. But, yeah, I think it's a great start. I think this schedule – much like we thought last year's schedule was going to set up perfectly for A&M before COVID sort of wrecked the season a little bit. Obviously, the Aggies still had a great year. This schedule starts out, I think, you couldn't script a better opening for a freshman quarterback in a team that has the expectations that A&M has. So another game where I think he cuts down on the turnovers, makes some of those easy throws, I think is only going to help going forward.
All right, Art Garcia, Sports Illustrated, Fan Nation, all Aggies here on the BCSI hotline. So Colorado, I had an insider on the show yesterday, and he was mentioning how big Texas was when they played Texas there. So let's fast forward to Saturday. If they thought Texas was big, I think A&M size, the SEC size overall, is just on a different level.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be a big game, obviously, for Colorado up there. I think moving the game to Denver helps the Aggies a little bit. I think you're going to get more Aggies in the stadium because of that. But I think they're going to see the size. You just look at the A&M defensive line. It's just massive, and those guys are athletes. I don't think they're going to see that on a regular basis in the Pac-12. I think Colorado's in for an eye-opening. I thought last year they would compete with Texas in that Alamo Bowl game, and Texas really wore them down in the second half, and that was without Ellinger, and they had some losses offensively. So, yeah, if they thought that was huge, I think they're in for quite an eye-opening on Saturday.
All right, we got about a minute left. How does Saturday play out? And let me just give you my opinion, which is totally the wrong thing to do in radio, to ask a question and give your opinion. But I'm going to do this. I believe if the Aggies,
it's your show, David.
Well, it's the people's show. If the Aggies cut down their mistakes that we saw last week, this is not going to be a close game, in my opinion. No. If they have mistakes, then we got ourselves a game.
No, I think that's exactly right. You answered your own question there, but yeah, that game, the game Saturday shouldn't have been 10-3 at halftime. It should have been sort of a 24-3 kind of game. If the Aggies cut down their mistakes, I think that Jimbo obviously is going to have them ready to go on Saturday. I think that it's got to be a big point of emphasis this week to cut down on the turnovers. I mean, 5 turnovers, really, I think it's if you can gloss over 5 turnovers, I think a lot of Aggies have since Saturday. That can't happen this week. But if the Aggies do cut it down, yeah, I think this is, a 45-17 kind of game. And I think across the country, that'll show that the Aggies, that last week was, more of an aberration. And this is the team that we'll see going forward.
Appreciate you, Art. Thanks so much.
Anytime. Thanks, David.
Thanks, man. Coach G coming up next here on TexAgs Radio. A moment right now for Dr. Troy Elms and Dr. Jeremy Stewart at Elms Orthodontics on the bypass in College Station. Those are great guys. I drove by yesterday, just saw it as I'm driving by. There they are. Just beautiful little location there, middle of town. Couple things about that, guys. If you're struggling with your smile, you got kids at home that have some crowding, you've considered Invisalign, if you've considered braces for someone in your family, they're the place to go. We're talking about real Aggies right there. Dr. Troy Elms, class of 86, 16-time best of the Brazos winner. Just does amazing work out there. And, of course, Dr. Jeremy Stewart, same kind of deal, guys. Just class of 03, loves A&M, loves TexAgs, and we love what they do for the community as well. Get a free consultation. Fix that smile. 1501 Emerald Parkway in College Station. The phone number to Elms Orthodontics, 979-693-6300, or learn more online at drelms.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Registration is now open for nonprofits wanting to participate in this year's Brazos Valley Gives event. Register at brazosvalleygives.org. The Sexual Assault Resource Center invites you to their primary fundraising event, the Evening Under the Stars Gala, Friday, October 8th at the Brownstone Reserve. Purchase tickets online at sarcbv.org. Pull off the cover of your classic auto and drive out to Wheelock on Saturday, October 16th for the car show. Find the event on